Welcome to the Deep Dive with Bobby and Michelle, taking a deeper dive into things like books and videos, giving you a view of what's under the surface. Sit back and take the Deep Dive with Bobby and Michelle.
Welcome to this deep dive.
Oh, cool.
We're going to be exploring a collection of letters.
Oh, okay.
They're really raw and real. They'll transport you straight back to the 1970s.
Wow.
We're talking about 35 letters.
I bet.
It's a published collection of correspondence between a mother and her son, spanning from 1972 to 1980.
So like the heart of the 70s?
Yeah. You'll get a first-hand look at life.
Oh, wow.
In small-town Texas through her eyes.
Okay.
As she writes to her son, Gordon, who's living in San Francisco.
Gotcha.
It's a time capsule filled with everyday details.
Nice.
But as we delve deeper, you'll see how it reflects
Okay.
the changing social landscape and anxieties of America in that era.
What's fascinating is that these letters weren't meant for public consumption.
Oh, really?
This is someone's life laid bare,
Right.
offering a raw and unfiltered perspective
I see.
on a time of immense social change.
The story of how these letters were even discovered is pretty captivating.
Absolutely. Picture this, a bustling estate sale in San Francisco's Castro district. Now, the Castro was and still is a historically significant neighborhood
Oh, yeah.
for the LGBTQ plus community.
Ah, so already a hint that maybe things aren't as simple as they seem.
Exactly. Our publisher, Joefer Ferguson,
Okay.
is browsing the sale and stumbles upon a simple wooden box.
Wow.
Amidst the usual estate sale finds,
Okay.
inside are stacks of letters meticulously tied with jute,
Interesting.
all addressed to a Gordon Riley in San Francisco.
Who sent them?
Simply, Mom from Springwater, Texas.
Interesting.
It's like finding a message in a bottle, a voice from a bygone era.
Okay, so we have Gordon in San Francisco,
Right.
the heart of cultural shifts in the 1970s,
Yep.
and his mom back in Texas, likely holding on to a more traditional way of life.
That contrast is what makes these letters so compelling.
Yeah.
The early ones really capture the essence of small-town life.
Okay.
The changing seasons news about relatives, local gossip.
Bet
That
you-
paints a vivid picture of Springwater, Texas.
The letters mention an aging dog named Ralph and a cousin Lucille who's getting married and expecting a baby.
Right. And the mother even writes about the excitement
Oh, wow.
surrounding a new 5-story building
Wow.
being constructed in Springwater. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
In a small town in the 70s, a 5-story building was a big deal.
that's true.
Yeah.
It really grounds us in her world.
Mm-hmm.
These seemingly mundane details make her relatable,
Yeah,
even if her views might clash with our own modern perspectives.
exactly. And throughout these early letters,
Okay.
there's this undeniable yearning for Gordon to come home.
Okay.
She clearly misses him and wants him to reconcile with his father.
It seems she has a very specific vision of what his life should be like.
Yes. She longs for him to settle down with a nice Christian girl
Okay.
and follow a traditional path. It's clear that faith and family are at the core of her values.
But something tells me Gordon might be on a different path.
Mm-hmm.
One that his mother wouldn't quite understand.
You're picking up on a crucial point. As we move through the letters, her tone starts to shift.
Okay.
We begin to see hints of worry and confusion about Gordon's choices.
Do you think it's simply the big city lifestyle that worries her?
Ah, that's a good question.
Or is there something deeper, something she's sensing but can't quite articulate?
That's the question that kept me hooked.
Yeah.
She speculates about whether he's caught up in the fast pace of city life,
Okay.
if something bad happened that he's hiding,
Oh, wow.
or even if he's in trouble with the law.
It seems like she's grasping at straws, trying to fit Gordon's choices into a narrative that she can understand.
Exactly. And this is where the letters start to reveal more than just family dynamics.
Okay.
They become a window into the anxieties of a nation,
I see.
grappling with rapid social change.
It's almost as if she's holding on to a world that's fading away
Right.
while her son is venturing into a future she can't quite grasp.
It's a classic clash between tradition and change,
Yeah.
playing out in the most intimate of spaces. A mother's heart. Remember, the 1970s was a period
Oh, yeah.
of immense social upheaval in America.
Yeah.
The Vietnam War, the Watergate scandal,
Mhm.
the civil rights movement, and the burgeoning gay rights movement
Right.
were all shaking the foundations of society.
Wow.
These events weren't just headlines. They were deeply impacting personal lives and families.
Oh, wait.
As we see in these letters.
The letters actually give us a glimpse into how these larger events were filtering down into her small town reality.
Yes. For example, she mentions the coffee houses popping up where young people were gathering.
Okay.
You can sense her curiosity, but also her fear of what those spaces represented. A break from tradition.
Right.
A challenge to authority.
It's like she's peering into a world that both fascinates and frightens her.
Exactly. And this fear becomes even more pronounced when she mentions a program run by a Christian ministry that she believes could help Gordon.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
This was a time when conversion therapy was sadly still very much in practice.
Yeah.
It's chilling to read her words.
Right.
Knowing what we know now about the harm those practices caused.
It underscores the tragic misunderstanding surrounding homosexuality at the time.
Right.
It was often viewed as a choice, a weakness.
Oh, wow.
Or even a sickness that could be cured.
And this misunderstanding fueled a wave of anti-gay rhetoric and activism.
Absolutely. Remember Anita Bryant and her Save Our Children campaign?
Yeah, I think so.
She was a popular singer and spokesperson who became a prominent figure in the anti-gay movement.
Wow.
Her campaign tapped into the anxieties of the time, portraying homosexuality as a threat to families and children.
Oh, wow.
It's a stark reminder of the political climate that existed back then, where discrimination was not only tolerated, but actively promoted.
The mother in the letters seems to see Bryant as a hero.
Yes.
A defender of traditional values.
And that's a prime example of how personal beliefs can be shaped by larger social and political forces.
Okay.
She's internalizing the messages being broadcast all around her, incorporating them into her own worldview.
But it's not just the political climate, right?
Yeah.
She's also deeply concerned about social pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And what people in her community might think.
That's a crucial point. Maintaining appearances and fitting in was paramount in small-town America during that era. The fear of gossip, judgment, and ostracism was very real. Remember, this was long before the internet and social media, so communities were much tighter knit.
Yeah.
Your reputation was everything.
She even suggests creating elaborate lies to explain Gordon's absence.
Yeah.
Anything to avoid the shame of his secret. It's heartbreaking to see her so consumed by fear and the need to protect her family's image.
It's a stark reminder of the power of social stigma.
Yeah.
And how it can force individuals to hide their true selves.
Right.
The irony, of course, is that these attempts to maintain a facade often lead to more pain and isolation in the long run.
So while the mother is wrestling with these anxieties, we can't forget about Gordon.
Yeah.
Who's living his life in San Francisco.
Right.
What can you tell us about the Castro district during that period?
The Castro was a haven for the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay.
A place where people could be themselves without fear of judgment. It was a vibrant hub of activism, art, and culture.
Okay.
A stark contrast to the conservative atmosphere of Springwater, Texas.
I can only imagine what it must have been like for Gordon.
Right.
To escape the confines of his hometown and find a community where he could truly belong.
It was a time of both liberation and struggle.
Okay.
The Stonewall riots of 1969 had ignited the fight for LGBTQ plus rights, but discrimination and prejudice were still widespread.
I see.
Gordon would have faced challenges, no doubt.
Right.
But he would have also found support, camaraderie, and a sense of shared identity. Think of Harvey Milk.
Oh, yeah.
A prominent gay rights activist.
Okay.
Who was elected to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors in 1977.
Wow.
His visibility and advocacy gave hope to many in the LGBTQ plus community.
It's a shame his mother couldn't see this side of Gordon's world.
Yeah.
The joy and acceptance he likely found in the Castro.
Indeed. And that lack of understanding ultimately leads to a devastating turning point in their relationship.
You're talking about the moment she discovers the truth about Gordon's life.
Yes, the revelation that shatters her world.
Okay.
Through a combination of her growing suspicions and a cryptic visit from a cousin who saw Gordon in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
The truth finally comes to light.
And the truth is?
Gordon is not simply living as a gay man.
Okay.
He's a female impersonator headlining a cabaret show in San Francisco.
Wow, I can't imagine the emotional earthquake that must have been for his mother.
Right.
It's such a far cry from the life she envisioned for him.
It's crucial to remember the social context here. In the 1970s, being openly gay was still taboo.
Yeah.
Often met with fear and disgust.
Yeah.
But female impersonation added another layer of complexity.
Wow.
It challenged not only sexual norms, but gender roles as well.
Yeah.
Something that would have been utterly incomprehensible to someone with her traditional upbringing.
So how does she react to this shocking revelation?
Initially, it's pure shock and disbelief.
Okay.
Then comes a flood of emotions, betrayal, fear, confusion.
Wow.
She tries to reconcile this new reality with her deeply held beliefs, her faith, and her understanding of what it means to be a good Christian.
It must have felt like her entire world was crumbling around her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And her reaction isn't just personal.
Right.
It reflects the societal norms and pressures of that era.
Okay.
She's terrified of what people will think,
Right.
how Gordon's choices will reflect on her family, and how it will impact their standing in the community.
It's a reminder that even love can be overshadowed by fear and the need to conform.
And this fear drives her to make a heartbreaking decision.
Oh, wow.
She starts to distance herself from Gordon,
Okay.
withdrawing her love and support.
Wow.
She sees his choice as a rejection of everything she holds dear,
Right.
a rebellion against God and her family.
It's the classic example of how societal pressures can lead to the rejection of those who are different, even within one's own family.
And this rejection ultimately leads to a tragic break.
Oh, wow.
A decision that will have far-reaching consequences
Oh, no.
for both mother and son.
It's so sad to see how fear drives her to make that choice.
Yeah.
You know, one that will like forever change their relationship.
Yeah. In her final letter, she declares Gordon dead to the family.
Oh, wow.
It's like a chilling act of self-preservation.
Yeah.
Driven by this desperate need to like protect her reputation
Right.
and conform to the expectations of her small town.
It's hard to fathom the depth of pain and sacrifice behind those words.
Yeah.
You know, to essentially erase her own child from her life
Yeah.
in an attempt to maintain a facade of normalcy.
This decision speaks volumes about the power of social stigma and the lengths people would go to avoid it. Imagine the weight of those expectations.
Wow.
The fear of gossip and judgment that could ostracize an entire family from their community.
Yeah. It's a reminder that sometimes the most hurtful actions are born out of fear and a desperate need to belong.
And this fear, unfortunately, often overshadows love and compassion.
Right.
The mother's letters reveal a deep internal conflict between her love for Gordon and her inability to reconcile his choices with her worldview.
There are moments where we see glimpses of her struggling to understand, even expressing a hint of admiration for like the flamboyance of Liberace.
Oh, yes.
Or trying a granola bar, something Gordon had mentioned enjoying.
Yes, there are these fleeting moments where her curiosity peeks through.
Yeah.
She's drawn to the energy and change happening in San Francisco, even as she fears it. Remember her questions about the blackout in New York City?
Oh.
She's clearly fascinated by events outside her small town bubble.
It's as if a part of her yearns for a different life. A life where she could embrace those differences.
Right.
Instead of fearing them.
But ultimately, the fear of social repercussions proves too strong.
Yeah.
She chooses the familiar, the accepted.
Right.
Even if it means sacrificing a part of herself.
Reading these letters, it's hard not to wonder what might have happened if she had chosen a different path.
Oh, yeah.
What if she had embraced Gordon for who he was, challenged the norms of her community, and like stood up to the judgment?
It's a question that lingers long after the final page.
Yeah.
Perhaps she could have found a way to reconcile her faith with Gorley's choices, realizing that love and acceptance don't require conformity.
Maybe she could have even found strength and support within her community, paving the way for greater understanding and tolerance.
It's a hopeful thought, but it also highlights the immense pressure and courage it would have taken to defy those social expectations.
Oh, for sure.
Remember, this was a time when even acknowledging the existence of homosexuality was considered taboo.
Wow.
To actively support it would have been seen as a radical act.
It makes Gordon's choice to live authentically all the more remarkable.
Yeah.
He chose to be himself, even if it meant facing rejection from his family and possibly his entire community.
His story speaks to the resilience of the human spirit.
Right.
The unwavering desire to live a life true to oneself, even in the face of adversity.
And while we don't hear Gordon's voice directly in these letters, his presence is deeply felt.
Oh, absolutely. We see his impact on his mother, sparking her curiosity, challenging her beliefs, and ultimately forcing her to confront the limitations of her worldview.
And that's the power of 35 letters.
Exactly.
It's a story that transcends time, reminding us that the struggles for acceptance and understanding are universal.
It prompts us to examine our own biases, to consider how societal pressures shape our perceptions, and to question whether we are choosing love over fear in our own lives.
This deep dive into Thumb 5 letters leaves us with a profound sense of empathy for both the mother and the son.
It does.
It's a story that reminds us of the complexities of family, the enduring power of love, and the long-lasting impact of societal norms on our most personal choices.
It's a reminder that history isn't just about dates and events. It's about the human stories that unfold within those moments. Stories that continue to resonate and challenge us today.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into 35 letters.
The Deep Dive podcast with Bobby and Michelle was created using NotebookLM, an AI application that is modeled on uploaded materials such as text or video. Bobby and Michelle are not humans. They are simulated podcast hosts. Their ideas, opinions, and advice are not representative of the podcast owner, Joefer, the Cranky Old Gay Guy. Joefer created the theme music using Suno.com, ProPlan, and his own voice. Deep Dive image created by MS Copilot. I hope you enjoy this unique take on the subject covered.